I don't like people that have prejudice. I'm very prejudiced against them. I've always felt that random acts of kindness are the best way to live. And when you can do that and people aren't expecting it, it's a really good thing.
If we are able to inculcate these values early on, it can make so much of the better world, right?
We drink the same water, we breathe the same air. We lived on a sort of dirt poor farm. I got a horse when I was about 7 years old. I rode it across the desert to Avra Valley to see the Indian kids over there because mom had taken me to play with them one day. We had a good time. I got home, she pulled me off that horse, about beat me to death because I didn't tell her I was going. I think the introduction of AI has the potential to do a lot of damage to the process of analyzing a digital image.
So, hello and welcome to Project Oneness World. Today we are in conversation with Professor Samantha Hastings, known as Sam Hastings widely, and who now describes herself as happily retired. Sam did her BA and teaching certification from the University of Arizona in 1972 in English and Math, and then got a Master of Science in Library and Information Science MLS from the University of South Florida in 1989, and then a PhD from Florida State University in 1994 in Library and Information Science. And she has held various academic positions from being assistant professor, associate professor, and interim dean at University of North Texas, starting from 1995 onwards. And she was the director and also the professor of Library and Information Science at the School of Library and Information Science in the University of South Carolina from 2006 onwards. She has held various other positions from being library program specialist, adjunct instructor, librarian, technical service, and worked in technical services and been a consultant. For a long time, she built full text and image databases for accountants, dentists, doctors, lawyers, and county and state governments. Sam's research interests have been in the area of retrieval of digital images, telecommunications, and evaluation of networked information services. She has published two scholarly books and various other research articles in different venues. She has received multiple external grants from IMLS, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, and also grants from the Nord Family Foundation and the Library of Congress. She has served as an advisor to multiple PhD students, some famous ones, and over 500 master's students in library and information science. She has been a leader of the field. Sam was the president of ASIS&T, the Association for Information Science and Technology, in 2004 and has held various other positions and being chairs of different committees at ASIS&T. She was also the president of ALISE, which is the Association for Library and Information Science Education, in 2015. And she has held other positions within the state university and in international editorial boards in the technology committee and been a content expert in other advisory boards and so on. Sam's honors are again, she's received a wide range of honors. She's received the Jean Key Gates Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of South Florida. She received that in 2004. She was also the recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award from Florida State University in 2012. And in 2008, Sam received the Watson Davis Award from then American Society for Information Science and Technology in 2008, and later that became the Association for Information Science and Technology. And she was also the editor, and she has received other teaching awards. She was an honors professor at the University of North Texas. Sam has been the editor for 10 years from 2005 to 2015 for the ASIS&T monograph series published by Information Today. And when she first took over the series, Nick Belkin, who was then ASIS&T president, described Sam as an outstanding educator, practitioner, and an advocate for the library and information science professions. And Sam, when you received the Watson Davis Award in 2008 in Columbus, Ohio, I remember, that was my first ASIS&T annual meeting. And
I
I remember,
remember.
yes, and I remember meeting you at the elevator and you had that badge with the past president and the Watson Davis awardee. And it was my first meeting then. And you were so kind and you told me then that I would receive this award one day and would be president. As a new member, that was highly encouraging of me. And I think that just speaks to your qualities as a leader. You look at people and you inspire them with your words, and you do that in a way that that it's you make it look effortless. I think it is effortless for you. I think it comes naturally to you. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you,
you, Naresh. That's really kind.
thank you, Sam, for
I've done a lot of recruiting in elevators.
yeah. I'm so happy to be speaking with you today, Sam. It's been like
Yeah.
a
I
great
was so looking forward to seeing you.
yes, and
A pleasure.
we are
And I
both
don't know who you were talking about there. Was that me?
that was you, and we happen to
No
be
wonder I'm tired.
color coordinated today, and that was not by design.
No, I'm loving it. And we didn't even plan it.
So thank you, Sam. So to begin, could you tell us your story in your own words? And you can start all the way from your childhood.
Let's see. I started out as a math teacher and I taught in a little school in Flowing Wells, which was outside of Tucson, Arizona, where I was raised. And I'd gotten my degree from University of Arizona. And in that classroom, there were a lot of Indian kids and a lot of Mexican kids. And while I was teaching them, and I did like an introductory thing to all the math things, the geometry, the algebra, a little bit of calculus. But I noticed that the Indian kids were really, really good at geometry. I mean, really good. And the Mexican kids were really good at algebra. And so I entered them into state contests and they won. And it was a big deal. But I don't know how I got that intuition to understand. And I've kept that my whole career. I've always been able to intuit and draw conclusions from the things I've observed. And it's been very valuable and extremely rewarding. So then I went on. I taught at Mount Tamalpais in California, north of Marin County there. And that was fun. I enjoyed it. The kids were all so privileged. It was a little boring, but that was good. And then I came back to Florida and did some consulting work and some things around accounting mainly. And I did a couple of businesses, books, and stuff like that. And then I went and got my library degree. And then I went and got my PhD. And then the rest of it's kind of history. But I've had a wonderful, wonderful career. And the people I've met are still close to me. I still interact with a lot of my friends. Melissa is one. She was also president of ASIS or ALISE when I was, and or we went back to back, I think. And just so many of the people that I met and interacted with through my career, I've kept touch with, and I love that. They check on me, make sure I'm having fun. Like, yeah, I am. And I'm absolutely enjoying retirement. I didn't think I would. I was a little scared. I've been retired for 10 years now, and I absolutely love it. I've got a great dog. We walk. We're right near the beach. We're just south of Tallahassee in a little fishing town, and I just have the best life ever.
You know, Sam, you were talking about people keeping in touch with you. I think once people get to know you, they cannot unknow you.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
What I mean is that you're such a wonderful person and a mentor, and it's like like an infectious energy, and wherever you go, I think you spread the light. And
Thank you. I have a Ethiopian Eastern Orthodox cross from my Ethiopian students.
okay,
Oops, let me get it where you can see it. It's just beautiful. Isn't that lovely?
it's lovely. It's very, very nice.
Yeah. And I still keep in touch with them. A baby was director at Tennessee here just recently, so and he's come down to visit and it's just I've got a little guest room. You're always welcome.
Thank you. And Abebe that was your PhD student and then became a director and also ASIS president and lots of wonderful things. So,
Good. Good. Makes me happy.
and a lot of the times I feel that maybe probably for Abebe or for myself, for any of us, when we feel that we might have achieved certain things, and
You would have.
but it's like people come and praise you for what you achieved, right? And but they don't what they don't talk about, or what they don't know, is that there was this person who met this person at the elevator and prodded this person in that direction, right? So I think you would have done that with your master's students, your PhD students, with anybody you met. And I think how you inspire people to be the best versions.
Thank you.
And sometimes people, I'm not sure if everyone recognizes, or I'm not even sure whether it needs to be recognized, because I think the reward is in the moment itself,
In the achievements of the people that I've helped.
and in the achievements of the people. So it just makes the world a much better place. I think
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
in a way you're out there teaching people how to live and how to be.
I've always felt that random acts of kindness are the best way to live. And when you can do that and people aren't expecting it, it's a really good thing. And I still do it here. I got the postman the other day, surprised him, took him some chocolates out to the box, and he went, "What?" I said, "Yeah, just for nothing."
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a cleaner at home, a cleaning lady, and as I was coming up to speak with you, and I just saw a little package that she had left with a little gift with saying Merry Christmas, right? And I thought I was going to be nice to her, and then she left that gift. So it's like this. I think it's these little acts
Good,
which make
good.
each day
Yay.
so beautiful and so much better. So Sam, let me take you to your childhood. Where were you born, and what are your earliest memories?
I was born in Tucson, Arizona. We lived on a sort of dirt poor farm, not really a ranch, out in Avra Valley on the other side of the Tucson mountains. My mom was a nurse and she worked. She drove over the mountains to St. Mary's Hospital and worked. My dad worked the farm. It had irrigation ditches. And my favorite memory, and what I spent hours doing, was sorting out the tadpoles by size, whether they had legs or not, or tails, and watching them become frogs. Oh, it was hours and hours and hours doing that. Way fun. And I had a good childhood. I rode a bus to the Marana School with a bunch of kids, and I was introduced early to the idea of no prejudice. I had lots of friends of different races, different kinds. My mom was adamant about no racism allowed. And I got a horse when I was about 7 years old. It was a Palomino, and I rode it across the desert to Avra Valley or to Ajo
Hmm.
on the other edge of Avra Valley, about an hour ride with my dog, and to see the Indian kids over there because mom had taken me to play with them one day. So I went to see them and we had a good time. I got home, she pulled me off that horse, about beat me to death because I didn't tell her I was going, right? And that's when I realized, oh, I'm not so independent. Anyway, I had a great childhood.
That you were supposed to inform the
Yeah, you're
mom.
supposed to tell what you're doing. They're like, no, I'm going to Ajo to play with the kids. I'll be back. Didn't tell her.
So, so Sam, I grew up in the in the mountain region of Sikkim in India, and on the top of my school there was there still is a rock out there, and on top of the rock, just at the back, was a frog pond, and we used to
Oh,
climb up there and sit there. Me and my friends, we used to sit there and watch tadpoles and frogs for hours.
yay! No wonder they're like mine.
So
It
as you
definitely formed me, and informed me about evolution and all kinds of things, but the miracle of life,
yeah.
it was a very important time.
And so you grew up amongst the cacti
Oh,
of
yeah. Lots of cacti, beautiful saguaros, lots of cactus wrens, and birds that had beautiful songs, and flowers, lots of cactus flowers, and it was lovely. And then I went to high school at Palo Verde. We moved back to town when I was eighth grade.
right.
We moved back to town and got a little house out sort of the suburbs of Tucson. And I went to Palo Verde High School and had a great time. I never did any kind of like cheerleading or, that wasn't mine. I was on the debate team. That was fun.
I can imagine that.
I wasn't very good though. I really wasn't. And finally, the teacher said, Sam, we're going to leave you out of this one. It's like, okay. I had no complaints. I was very lucky.
So, Sam, you talked about growing up with no prejudice and your mom telling you that racism is not allowed. I'm just wondering, did you learn that because your mom had those values, or did you learn that on your own?
I learned that because my first grade teacher was a black woman named Mrs. Brown. I adored her. She was absolutely fabulous. She paid attention to every single one of us. We were all reading in no time, and we always had reading hour in the afternoons, so we had our own time to read. And she was just so encouraging and beautiful and lovely woman. And that was the beginning of it. And then being around all the Indians and Mexicans and, it just, I never felt it. Never felt it. And she had a lot to do with it because she was absolutely lovely. She died not too long ago. I was so sorry. But anyway, Mrs. Brown.
Right. No, I'm glad. This is such an important topic, and if we are able to teach kids not to have prejudice, right? If we are able to inculcate these values early on, it can make so much of the better world. This
Well,
is
I think it's sort of the backbone of your oneness project in a way. You can't have prejudice and have united anything.
right.
And I don't like people that have prejudice. I'm very prejudiced against them. See, I do have a prejudice, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
No, I've thought a lot about this, and I think what happens is that what you see on the surface, right, is what you see the skin color or a certain ethnicity or something that you see on the outside.
Mhm.
And often we tend to rush to draw judgments. Oh, I know their type kind of thing. The moment you
Right.
say their, you start the othering process. You start
Yes.
this us versus them kind of a thing, right? And so, how do you, and the moment you start talking to people, you realize that there's much more in common than different with the people you speak with, right? And yet, I've seen that people who have the prejudice or like to hold on to it, even if they like a person who belongs to a grouping that they have a prejudice against, they'll say that, oh, this person is an exception. The rest are still like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, that makes me so mad. Stop it. You can't even believe that.
Yes, and so I think to some extent it validates that sense of othering is a form of self-validation,
Yeah.
and at
Yeah.
the same time it doesn't really work because individually we are all different across the world. So putting and we are members of various groupings. When those groupings change, our sense of identities change, right?
We drink the same water, we breathe the same air, you know. It's like, stop it. Don't even go there.
Yeah. No, it's human beings who are born for a limited period on this earth, and we can just be simply nice to each other. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. It is amazing.
Now, I hope people are able to teach these values. And also, I think a set of kids grow up in the same school, right? And I've noticed that, so it's not, so the same teacher would have inculcated similar set of good values to all the kids,
Mhm.
but then some of them grow up having the prejudice and some don't. And
Yeah.
I just wondered how that plays out, and I wish that didn't. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. I just I was lucky. I never had to fight it or deal with it. I embraced, you know, and look at all the different students I've had. Oh, how fun has that been?
yeah.
My Turkish students, there were people in Texas that were prejudiced against them. They did not like Turkish people. It's like anyway, I always stood up for them.
I'm glad. I'm glad they had you all the
And I
time.
got to go to Turkey.
I got to go to Turkey. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, I loved it. Ankara and just yeah, lovely experience.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
I did some consulting for them too, and that was nice.
Okay. So you spoke a little bit about your career, but we can go into more detail. So what led to your career in the library and information science field, and your career especially as a leader in the field?
I've always loved libraries. That's how it started. And then I also got in kind of into when I was doing the accounting business and helping small businesses in that way, I got into the information side and how important it was that you had the information you needed to do whatever task you were trying to do. And then my husband's an artist and he has a website and all that stuff, but I got interested in images and how do we search them? How do we deal with them? And at the same time, Mark Rorvig at University of North Texas had a grant with NASA for he was sorting and cataloging the NASA images. And
Right.
so I got to do some digitization of them, and we played with those, and that was fun. And I digitized the Cowgirl Museum in Fort Worth. My students and I had great students. And I started the digital imaging lab at UNT. We had a great lab, lots of good scanners and fun, and it was almost like a natural step. I've always loved libraries, so and my mom used to drop me off after school at the library while she went back to work and finished her shift. And so I had lots of library time and I loved it. It was fun. And there were some really cool librarians in my life too,
No,
that
that's
would challenge you and say, well, how much did you read today? It's like, did you get your hour in? It was sort of a natural blend and step.
so you talked about digitization, right? And there is this, so there are materials that need to be digitized and materials that are born digital now, right? So what do you think are the challenges to the digitization process now?
I think the introduction of AI has the potential to do a lot of damage to the process of analyzing a digital image. Because if you don't know what's real or not, and sometimes it's very hard to tell, especially more sophisticated AI becomes, you have to have better tools to figure out that this thing, no, no. And also, you know, the image is not like the printed word. It doesn't quite stay around long enough for you to tear it apart and catalog it and do any kind of analysis on it. It's sort of transient in a way. So you've got to nail it pretty fast because you can't count on it being there forever.
Right.
And that's one thing we figured out with the art images from the museum is we had to tag those quickly and get that catalog up and out there so people would be able to see what was there. And that was challenging. It was fun. Don't get me wrong, but challenging. So I think the whole process of digitization might have been seen in my day, and I'm talking about 90s, in the same way as AI is seen now.
Right. Yeah.
It was almost like it's got to be the real thing. It's like, okay, well, let me catalog this and you can have a record of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So in my house, we all draw and paint. So these are my paintings that you see at the back. And so you mentioned again being surrounded by art, right? Yeah, your husband's art. Yeah, and my wife and daughter they paint as well.
Love it.
So what do you think is the future of art? Like I've spoken to other artists, and especially those who are very prolific.
Mhm.
They have art that grows with time. And what happens to art eventually?
This is interesting because my husband enters national shows, the National Oil Painters of America and the Oil Painters of America, OPA and NOAPS, and he's won several prizes. But the entries now include no AI generated help or images accepted.
Right.
So they've caught on that there may not be completely real things, being floated around. And I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, like not completely real. Not, I don't know, not 100% self-generated. How's that?
Right. Yes, yeah.
And a lot of the authors and scientists that I know will put the caveat on their papers, no AI generated help was used in this paper. So I think people are catching on that it could be a real challenge and that we've got to be careful what we do and how we do it. And I think artists are extremely sensitive to that because, they're, I don't know, standing there with that brush in your hand for 12 hours a day and you're, stepping back from the easel, going up to the easel, it's like the image that you're projecting and painting. Here's one of his paintings right behind me.
Oh, yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's the river we live by, Carabel River. We live right across the street from that. And we live in a forest and we've got bears and deers and foxes. And it's just beautiful. Just beautiful.
That's amazing. What types of media does your husband use? Like it's oil and
Yeah. It's all oil.
it's all
Yeah.
oil. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been painting for the great story is that when we met in Florida, I did his taxes and his books. He had a sign company that he was running. And I saw some of the work that he'd done as a student at Ringling School of Art in Sarasota. And I went, oh my God. And there he is routing with this router, just wrecking his hands, wrecking them.
Mm.
And I went, no, no, no. And when I went up to get work on my PhD, I had an article due and I said, God, I'm not going to get it done if I stay here. There's too many distractions. Somebody said, well, go out to Dog Island, get a room at the inn there. They've got internet access and nobody will bother you. And so I went out to this little island and it was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And I'd come into a little bit of money for my mama and bought a house on Dog Island and dropped Roger in the middle of it. The joke is I dropped him in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and said, paint. And that's what he did. And he's become quite famous.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. But I love the idea of creative process. I'm not real creative myself. Well, I write poetry. That I do. And I find that interesting and sort of mathematical in a sense. I like music and dance and anything where it takes the individual's effort to make it real.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm afraid of AI.
It's yeah, I think people are figuring it out as to what role it's going to be. I like to think of it as a dishwasher in the sense that it's there at home, and we've got to teach our students how to do dishes by hand, but also
Yeah.
using a dishwasher. So both the
Mhm.
skills need to be there. So
Very good.
so as long as we can use it sparingly and for
To
specific
our
tasks
advantage.
to our
Mhm.
advantage, and making sure that it is like we don't violate ethics, and
Yeah.
we do not violate people's rights and people's identities and all of that.
That's a great analogy. Great analogy. I might have to use that. Sorry.
No, yes, please go ahead. So I think that's the thing. I think so. It's a tool. It's a powerful tool, but we've got to have policies and governance in place to make sure that is used for the betterment of humankind and not to the
Yeah.
disadvantage of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with every library. It's an organization for libraries. And I also work with the Florida Library Association here and helping them write policy. It's very boring, but they need it. And I'm glad to help. But the policy recently for every library was to require that AI generated books be stamped as so.
Or be stamped like that this is an
Yeah,
AI generated book.
right. What visibly, this is AI generated.
Yes,
And I thought, that's a really good idea.
yeah, I think as long as we are explicit about it, like in my syllabus, first for my classes, I tell my students that this instructor does not encourage or prohibit the use of AI tools. But if you do use AI tools, please mention which tool you used, what prompts you gave, and
Yeah.
what version of the tool, and how did your assignment change as a result of the prompts, and how would it have been different, and what parts of the assignment you did not use the AI tool for.
Oh, that's really good. That's excellent. Oh, they must love you.
Thank you.
They love you.
Thank you, Sam. I guess as long as people know that something is AI generated or the extent to which it is AI generated and all, I think that is fine as long as we tell people,
You gotta tell people. That's all.
right? I think it's basic respect.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my godson is a science writer and he's got a PhD in physics and he's up in New York. He just got a grant to start this project. The website's called foom.org, FOOM. And he interviews the researchers that are investigating issues around AI. And at the end of every article or interview process that he's written up, he goes, nothing was AI generated here. But the research they're doing and the stuff they're finding, this whole thing with shape in AI, and you should check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's
Definitely do that. Yeah.
amazing.
So, so what other aspects in the information science field do you think has been your role in some? So one you talked about digitization and the process. Any other aspects that you want to touch upon?
I think being an evangelist for the idea that information is the basic building block for anything. And if you want to be really good at something, you need to understand how it works. And my recruiting efforts and the way that I built things for both faculty and students was always to look for that nubbin of curiosity and chutzpah in a sense, did they have the guts to go forward with this and, actually make it work? Because there was a lot of kickback in the beginning over digitization, you know that.
Right.
And it was a challenge. But I think getting that word out and getting that community sense how everything works together,
Right.
it's all linked and what influences one business or company may not another, but totally influence an educational component, So there's a lot there.
Right. Yeah. And when you look back at your career, what do you think have been some of the most significant steps and the turning points?
Funding,
Sorry?
funding,
Funding.
funding for my students, funding for the faculty, funding for the projects, because it costs money to do that research and it costs money to build those things. And I was just lucky enough that IMLS came along and they loved us and we got lots of money from them and we were really good. But we also got money from National Institute of Health when we were doing some of the health info stuff.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, this was not all me. This is an integrated faculty that knew what they were doing, you know, and they shared. They were very different, but they shared.
Right.
And it influenced the students, and the students got the benefit of it because it spilled out onto them, sprinkled out.
Right.
And I'm so proud of everybody I worked with.
I'm sure they're proud of you too, Sam. Yes. So we talked about grants, right? And you have received a number of important grants from these large agencies. For somebody who's starting out to write research grants, what advice would you have for them to keep in mind?
Be very clear. Be very clear about your goals and your outcomes. Make sure that it's delineated, that people can like flip through your proposal and find what they are, and then go back and read the narrative and see if it all matches up. But never, never bury those. Get those right out front and when you say how you're going to evaluate or show results from this,
Right.
you want to make sure that you've got in your proposal the way you're going to show how it worked, you know? And I think sometimes we leave that stuff out because we're so excited about the idea,
Right.
you know? But I've been on so many committees that evaluate them and go through them. And the ones that delineate outcomes and results are really, really popular.
Okay. So yeah, basically clarity in terms of what you are saying you would do and how you would measure
Yeah,
what that you have
yeah.
done, achieved
And
something.
get it up front and throughout the narrative. Don't hide it in the back at the end.
Right. And for people who might have submitted grants and not been successful, what advice would you have for that, for those people?
That keep applying or get a grant and not successful.
Yeah, if they applied and let's say were not successful,
Try another agency.
so to keep
Maybe
that,
you're not a fit for the one that you're applying to, and try them all. You know, even if you don't think that your project matches the National Endowment for the Arts, particularly,
right,
try anyway. You know, you never know. And you never know what they're looking for, you know, because they all change too. Those committees change, the leadership changes. And I think don't give up.
right.
You know, don't give up. And don't get your feelings hurt because then you're kind of bitter, you know? It's like it's not personal.
It's not personal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not personal. And I'll never forget when my master's students at South Carolina put together a proposal and got it. The master's students, right? Oh my God. Even the provost came down and said, I want to meet these kids.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah,
I've always had good luck, though, of having good provosts, good presidents, good research directors at university level. Sometimes you have to teach them what your area is all about
right,
and why it's so important. And once they learn that, I mean, they were recruiting students as assistants and working in their offices and stuff as graduate assistants. You know, once they figured out that they knew something really good, that they had value. Oh,
right. Yeah.
Lord.
What do you think has been the role of serendipity or chance in your career? Like how has chance played a role in making you do things which led to major turns or events in your life?
I think the association meetings that I went to and meeting other people in the field and picking their brains,
Right,
finding out. I'll never forget Michael Buckland, first time I met him. And I mean, he was just so dynamic and so incredibly suave, you know. And Clifford Lynch was a big influence on me. Oh, geez, I could go on and on. But that involving yourself in associations of people with like minds that can help nurture and get that process growing. You know, I think that's really important. And you know, right now none of the universities have any money to send anybody anywhere, you know. So I had an idea for ASIS and ALISE to have kind of mobile units that would come to a school's area and announce it ahead of time
okay.
that there was going to be seminars on X, Y, and Z, and just go around the country instead of wanting everybody to come to them. Because that money's going to take a while to rebuild, you know.
Well, that's amazing actually. So how do you think that would work? Have you thought of like
The actual logistics.
yeah, in terms of like
I, I'm thinking like a group of 5 or 6 people
right, yeah,
to do the presentations and to sort of hold a like a town meeting for the association, you know, not a full blown, but
right,
town meeting, and have a little bit of money to hand out some free memberships, you know, like have some kind of contest or something. I don't know how that would work out.
right,
But the idea being that I don't think we can expect people to come to us right now.
yeah,
I think we've got to reach out And of course, nobody at ASIS or ALISE has the least been interested in this idea.
I'm just wondering the funding for it. So, like, how
Same as the funding for the national conference. You just take a hunk of it.
so people pay, you think, to participate, to register? They have to register for it, and
I think I would do a very small entry fee or a very small conference fee, very small, mainly to cover the coffee and,
right.
whatever snacks you have, that kind of thing. But I'd use my staff and a couple of advisors from the council. And I don't know how it'd work. It's just a thought.
No, but it's yeah, it's an interesting thought. I think it's sort of like mobile libraries in some way. When
Yeah,
people don't go to the
yeah.
libraries, then
Bookmobiles.
take the library, yeah, right,
Yeah,
the bookmobiles,
it,
right? So
it's a bookmobile.
take the library to the people, right? So
Yeah,
then take the
yeah,
association or the conference to the people if they cannot.
exactly. Exactly.
And
Sorry, I'm losing my shoes here. I wear flip-flops most of the time because I live in Florida. You don't want to hear that up there. I know you don't.
yeah, we have snow outside right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can see that. It's like
Yeah. We actually had a really cold night last night. It was 41.
oh, 41 last.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a cold
Had
night.
to cover the plants and everything.
Yeah.
You got snow. Oh man. I love it. I love it after it falls,
Yeah.
not when it's falling.
Yes, after it falls and when it's especially sunny, and then you
Yeah.
can see the glistening whites.
And the glisten
Yeah,
was beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful then. So I'm just thinking that for when you're thinking of ASIST traveling to specific locations, I like that your thought because it's different from having an online conference, right? So you're not saying that to just do it over
You
Zoom.
need people need this, They need to smell each other and be around and, you know, they need this. This with the distance doesn't work as well. You don't get that cross-fertilization of ideas and, you know, meeting in the elevator,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. That's so important anyway.
Yeah, I remember when I was ASIS president, and this was in 21, 22, around that period, and it was right after COVID. And so we had a year of a fully online conference, and one of the early decisions that I had to make, and the board fully agreed on this, is to have a fully face-to-face conference. And that year, the idea was very unpopular because people were saying that we need to have an online conference or a hybrid mechanism. So
Mhm.
voting for a fully face-to-face conference along with other options like a mid-year online
Mhm.
conference and all,
Mhm.
I think what we felt was that if we did not do that, then that's what ASIST is all about. It's all the face-to-face
Mhm.
meetings, the informal chats, and what
Oh,
happens
yeah.
outside the sessions and
Yeah.
everything.
Well, most association meetings are like that. It's like I've gone to a couple medical ones and yeah, the outside the classroom conversation or outside the presentation is probably more important than the presentations themselves.
Yes, then what happens inside? So if we take that away and if we do it online, that part is lost. And I find that it's very hard to replicate that in an online environment. Even if you have breakout rooms or something, it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the same.
So unless people are able to figure this out, but I'm sure this will probably never happen in terms of online being as good as face to face. I think that the face to face there's something to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think if you want to build something like the idea of oneness, you've got to have face to face.
yeah.
You got to be able to smell each other.
When you meet people in person, you realize so much more about the similarities that what we have in common.
Well, part of what happens is the veils of the online distance come down, and so ideas can be shared more freely,
Yeah.
than over the online environment. It's hard to do. It's hard to
Yes,
do.
and people saying that, oh, let me get a cup of coffee, or those people putting their bags down, or anything, those informal things, all those things
Yeah.
are difficult to replicate. We learn so much from those little things.
Yeah, absolutely. I just I hate to see us give it up. And so that's why I thought maybe the mobile pods would work. Now, a lot of the prep and the infrastructure is going to have to lie on the school where
Right.
they're going. So, you've got to have an active association member at the school or members.
Yeah, I think it's probably possible. Like when during my year as ASIS president, we had a board retreat at Simmons
Yeah,
in Boston. So the entire board traveled, and Simmons hosted the board. But I think the idea could be extended to a few members traveling and then a meeting happening there.
I remember this. I was thinking, oh, he's a genius. Yeah, I like that idea.
So no, I think it's a wonderful idea which can be extended
I
by
think we have to be very, very careful in how we use technology. I think there has to be a concentrated effort to use it as a tool, not as an end.
right. So okay, so if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that the in person, the face to face, the whole person, that's always more important, and we use technology more as an enabler
Yeah,
as and when
yeah,
needed, not trying to
absolutely.
replace the rest of it.
Yeah, I think so. Now, if I don't fly anymore. I flew millions of miles over my career, been all over the world, but I don't fly anymore. But I thought about, oh, maybe I could drive up to Simmons and surprise you.
Oh, wow. That would be a long drive, but yes, that would be amazing.
I know. And it's snowing, and yeah, no, it wasn't going to work. But that was my thought. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to see you in person? But this is pleasant. This is quite pleasant, especially because it's just the two of us.
Right, yeah.
So there's some privacy there, and yeah, very nice.
So, okay, so for online conversations, that means the one-on-one, even if it's a video call or like a Zoom meeting that as we're having right now, the one-on-one is much better than multiple people being on it in some ways, right?
It helps. It helps. But, I've had successful online classes that just absolutely adore the content and the presentations and they work in groups and they talk to each other. And I think it's possible to have both
Right.
in a sense, but personally, I prefer this,
Yeah.
you know. I'm selfish. That's why. I
No,
want you all to myself. I'm not
no.
sharing it.
You're not selfish at all. I think, and as we were t talking earlier, I think before that, it's sometimes in our selfish interest to be selfless, and you sort of teach that, like by living that.
Oh,
And
sweetheart.
thank you.
Is your wife happy there?
In Boston, yes, yes, she
Oh,
is.
good.
She's a physician, and
Yeah, I
she's a
know.
nurse oncologist. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, amazing.
So, how would you describe the information science field now and your own role within the field?
Well, I think one of the things that's been happening is it's been taking over library science, especially in education.
Right.
And I always wanted to keep the word library in the title of the school. And, you know, I was pretty adamant about
The L,
promoting libraries as an information science source, for one thing. But, that didn't last very long. And I get the sense that the changes that are happening around the field are not bad. I don't think it's like detrimental or harmful to anything. But I don't think it's understanding that it's not just information science doesn't exist all by itself. It's a tool for other things, you know, and even scientific process, intellectual inquiry, any kind of a science experiment, any kind of a need to understand how things relate
yeah,
is information science to me. And so I don't think we should isolate it. I don't think it should be so isolated that it loses the importance of being integral to all things.
right.
I mean, just cataloging plants, think botany. you know, think of, you know, animal kingdom info, it's like, oh my God. And so anyway, did that help?
That it did. Yeah, I think when we think of information itself, right, that's central to everything in the world, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
So we wouldn't,
Yeah. I don't see it as its own viable unit.
yeah,
It's ultimately ultra connected to everything.
yeah. So you talked about Michael Buckland, and so who are the other people? Like, who are the people who have influenced your work?
Oh, so many, so many. I can't. I mentioned Clifford Lynch, Joseph Bush was very important to me. Oh my gosh. No,
It's too many,
many,
many. Okay.
many. I,
And
I took influence wherever I could find it.
and any other things like particular books or incidents that really influenced you?
I have to go back to association meetings and meeting other scientists and other researchers and learning from them. And also, I learned a lot from my students. Oh my God, especially my doctoral students. I mean, they were top-notch geniuses. And I just, yeah, I can learn from sitting out in the yard and listening to birds.
Oh, yes, yeah. Do you want to talk about the joy of watching birds and listening to them? Like people these days, right, I feel they are in a race. A lot of us like trying to go from one deadline to the other and trying to achieve we don't know what, right? That
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
something. So so I don't know. I felt this need of for the world to slow down a little bit and to watch nature. And you talked about like learning from birds, right? So now that you're retired, and what are the things you've learned now that you think you didn't realize earlier? Now that you're retired, right?
hmm,
And there is perhaps slightly more time to admire nature and birds, right? And though you might have always done that in different ways. So, and especially in a world that is trying to get ahead and to sort of win a race or be more productive and sort of meet deadlines, deadline after deadline, right, all the time.
yeah.
So, what would you say to them?
The luxury of time.
The luxury of time.
Yeah. If I want to sit out and listen to the birds and I'm 15 minutes more than I planned, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I love our libraries here. When I worked for the state, I forgot that I worked for the state library here in Florida while I was getting my PhD at
Right.
the beginning there. And that was important. That was really important. I brought internet access to the public libraries in Florida.
Hmm.
And during training sessions and stuff, I had my friend Sandra Taylor Furby was my interpreter because I'd be talking about bodes and CPUs and oh, this is so exciting, and we're gonna have the fastest internet in the world. And she'd say, okay, she's just talking about the formats. But I had a really good time doing that. And Barbara Stites and I published a book about that process, internet in public libraries in Florida. But at the time, I wasn't really part of it, but there was a group that was helping develop countywide library service. The state librarian was adamant that it should be countywide everywhere. And municipals could be municipals if they want, but the county needed countywide library service. And so we'd go and I'd actually pull wires and do all kinds of stuff to get things ready. But this little library here in Carabel was one of the first that we worked on. And so to see it as a vibrant center of the community is just heart-filling. I just love it,
I
you
love
know? And they do things like they have tech hours. You can come in and they'll give you tech help. They have tax help. They have how to write a will. I mean, they're just so creative and so cool, and it's just absolutely rewarding.
that. No, that's wonderful to have public libraries take an active role, right,
Yeah,
in
big active role. And I never drive by there that the parking lot is not half full, you know? It's like Always something going on. And the kids after school, they have after school stuff, mainly for reading, which I thought was a really good idea. They've got a library director named Lucy. I can't, it's Lucy. And she's just fabulous. She makes the commission do what she wants them to do and the council, and she's just really, really good. Anyway, that's fun. So I love that. And I help them however I can. And we have an art gallery, the Rio Carabel Gallery, and every Friday night there's an art showing and live jazz,
Okay.
and that's really fun. So for a little bitty community, we've got a lot of culture going on and a lot of fun. And if I really get, like jonesing for a real museum kind of thing, got Tallahassee within an hour,
Yes, yeah.
little over an hour. You know,
So what have been some of your favorite books over the years?
scholarly or
Anyone, for a person watching.
to Kill a Mockingbird,
Okay.
The Yearling, A Land Remembered, ones that I would go back and read again, maybe.
Okay.
For fun, I love the detective series and Louise Penny and those kind of authors for fun. But for true literature, I have to turn to mainly the oldies. Nothing new has grabbed my eye yet
Right.
or my interest. But that doesn't mean they're not there. I just, but yeah, I'll read anything.
Right.
And if it insults me, I put it down, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll pick up anything. I love to read.
And again, for people, a lot of people, especially I've spoken to people in South Asia and other countries, that the kids watch videos and reels more than reading, right? So what can be done to help inculcate the love for reading, especially in younger children?
Have a video where you're reading to the kids, or a video game that involves reading and how many new words can you do today? Make it a game.
Make it a
Make
game.
it a game. Yeah. I still think the most important thing is reading to a kid on your lap. From the very beginning, they need to have that experience, you know, that shared. I think that's really important. And, libraries,
Yes.
gotta
Yeah.
have the libraries. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that. That's a hard one. That's hard.
No, but I like the gaming part that you're saying. That if you make it a game, right?
Yeah,
And you can probably ask people to then post about it, make a reel about it after they've read,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And I think social media can have people reading
Yeah.
out loud, you know. And if they're good, the kids will pick up on it. They'll get hooked, you know. I mean, reading The Yearling out loud, can you imagine how many kids would love that? About the little deer and oh, geez. Anyway,
Okay. And what are some of the key skills you have developed that have helped you over the years?
logical thinking,
Okay.
empathy, being able to understand others and what their experiences are, communication.
So, so I want to elaborate on this a little bit. So, what is empathy according to you, and how does it help?
Okay. It's being able to walk in someone else's shoes and not judge them. It's being able to understand that not everyone is privileged, and every once in a while somebody needs a hand up.
Right.
It's not, you're not going to wreck their lives by giving them a hand up or a little something or what, it's like, and it's so related to kindness, empathy and kindness are really quite combined. And I think when people lose it, they lose the ability to analyze and, filter, in a sense. So,
Yeah, and you talked about kindness, and why do you think it's important to be kind?
because I think it's important to treat others as you'd like to be treated, and kindness always works. If you're kind to me, you can have anything.
It works. It works well with people, right? Better
Yeah,
than judgment does.
yeah, yeah. And I think empathy is also a lack of judgment. That's a good way to put that.
Yeah, not judging people as different
Yeah.
or yeah.
And, you know, understanding where people come from, I think, is important. I read an interesting thing the other day. This isn't quite on topic, but that said only software developers and drug dealers use the word users. So I think, in a sense, we're so close to the edge of the software development field in our fields, and we have to be very careful. That's sort of slippery right there. And when you lose empathy for the individual and how important the individual is, that they're not just users, they're people with skills that may or may not need something, I think you can go a long way.
I remember an interaction during my time when I used to be a software engineer and telling one person that, please remember, I'm not a resume or I'm not a profile. I'm not a Java or a C++
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
profile.
yeah, yeah.
I'm a person.
Not a JPEG.
Yes. So I
I'm
think
a real person.
this term users as well, right? And I think in some of the literature in the human-centered human information retrieval, when we talk about it, the person or the actor then
Mhm.
became more of a center stage than terms like patrons or users,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
I like clients is a good word.
yeah,
You're my
I, I
client.
I always love Brenda Derwin's quote, which talks about people being a body, mind, heart, and spirit, moving through time and space with a past history, a present reality, and future dreams or ambitions.
Ooh, perfect. Me too. That's it. Well said.
Yeah, I think realizing the wholeness of people and also realizing that people are flawed. If they are flawed, they're flawed just like we are flawed, and they're perfect in being imperfect or imperfect in being perfect,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I love it. The whole idea of perfection and in some ways Christianity kind of promotes this that you can get to some level of, I don't know what to call it, of beyond judgment. And that just drives me nuts. I can't, no, you can't do that. That's, no, no.
Yeah. And there was one more word that was interesting to me. You talked about communication as one of your skills. So what is important in communication?
To listen and understand and process and give back ideas or not. But listening is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, and what does listening mean?
picking up on the nuances of the ideas that are being presented or not, and not taking everything verbatim. Sometimes people aren't honest, and you got to know when that's happening so that you don't get confused and get trapped. And there's always clues. The listening part, I think, is really important. Really important. And sometimes people just get bored. They don't want to listen anymore. It's like, oh, shut up. That's enough. I've got patience. So I've listened through a lot of stuff I thought was junk. And there's always a little nugget of something good in there.
Right.
There's always something to take away. And I think that's why it's important to have the face-to-face communications in this online environment.
Yes, I think also because the face-to-face communication also allows you to not speak and just be with each other in some ways.
Yeah.
And the presence itself is enough in
Yeah.
ways.
Yep. Exactly.
What do you think have been your biggest successes?
The what?
The biggest successes. What has been your success? Like,
Raising others to be successful, promoting the idea of equality and empathy and kindness.
do you remember any particular incident or an interaction where this idea made a difference to somebody and they mentioned it to you?
You started out that way.
Oh, yes. I started on the yes.
I get a note from a baby every once in a while saying, thank you. I wouldn't be here without you. Things like that. It's seeing others be successful. And in that sense, success is influencing the field or growing an idea that wasn't paid attention to before or something like that. something outreaching and scientific in the sense of investigation,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. So, which phases of your life have made you resilient? What were the hardest and challenging times that required you to be strongest and not break down under pressure?
Teaching high school math.
Teaching high school math.
Yeah, that was, yeah. That and medical librarian. When I was a medical librarian, we had a lot of times the doctors would come down like in an emergency and go, I got to know how to do blah, 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 or I've got a patient that's got blah, blah, blah. Look it up, look it up,
Okay.
and you felt like a life was online or something. No, those were tense. That was hard.
Okay. And did some of the difficult phases of your life affect your life purpose in some way?
I never dwelt on them, to tell you the truth. I moved on. I don't carry a lot forward. I leave a lot behind. I'm not a gatherer, in that sense. I don't gather and hoard or do any of that. And I just, yeah,
Right. So you describe yourself as living more in the moment most of the time.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. I find it's a whole lot happier and peaceful than dwelling in the past or worrying about the future. If I worried about the future all the time, I wouldn't get out of bed, especially right now. Lord, don't get me started.
Yeah.
My godson got me a cup that says, I hate my government and my stomach hurts down on the bottom. Because I told him sometimes it makes me physically ill to even think about what's going on. This too shall pass.
This
And
too
we
shall
do
pass.
our best to get out of it.
Yes. We will hopefully have a less polarized world,
It'll be good.
right?
It'll be
And
good.
people being nicer
Yeah.
to each other.
Sorry, can't go there.
Right. Okay. And
I'd have to get out my stool. Roger goes, my husband goes, okay, quit preaching. Yes, sir. Okay.
okay. And what is something you wish you knew earlier in your life?
Ooh, how fragile life is and how uncertain.
Right. Yeah.
It's helped a lot being retired because I can reflect on some things. I've got the time. And that's one of the things I think about is especially living in the middle of a forest here. I can show you the thing. You see out that window?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's an acre of that, and then we back up on the Apalachicola National Forest.
Hmm.
So we've got plenty of trees and wildlife, and I'm just so lucky.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you can move your camera slightly down, I think. It is
Hmm? What happened?
your camera, I think. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's fine. And what are your life principles or values that you follow? We've spoken about them, but if there's anything else you want to mention, and what
I
are your
think you've heard them all. Well, one I can add is patience.
patience and your life lessons as well? Does it come as part of what you spoke? What are your life lessons?
Don't be in a hurry. Stop and smell the roses. Help others as often as you can.
Right. Okay.
You know, I think that's it.
What does happiness mean to you?
Ooh, it doesn't take much, you know. It's like happiness is not a pot of gold or, an expensive anything. It's that I have enough. I have enough.
Right.
There's really nothing I need. We live very simply and we don't buy anything. We don't need anything. We need to get rid of stuff. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. And what are your goals now?
Ooh, wake up in the morning.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm 77, by the way. And one of my big goals is how long do I have to live for my dog? Not my husband, my dog. And I figured out she's 9. I need to live at least 6 more years, right? So now we're getting in the 80s. So I try to stay in good shape. I walk, I exercise, I eat well. We eat very little processed food and mainly organic if I can find it. But sort of live in a food desert, it's
Right.
kind of hard sometimes. But we do pretty well. I really, really don't want for anything.
Right. And so this question of how long do I have to live, right? But I hope you live up to 100 at least.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see how I feel. My mom used to say old age ain't for sissies. It's like, oh my God, wait till you get the aches and the pains and the oh, yang, yang. And there's also a decline in your cognitive process, and that's one thing I worry about a lot is that AI will take away some of our cognitive skills if it's replacing or doing those for us. We'll forget how to do it.
Yes, I think there was a MIT study or something that came out recently which
Yeah,
talked about AI taking away like some of the cognitive skills declining.
yep, I know. And it's like, wow. So, but yeah, no, I don't know if I want to live to be 100, but I really do enjoy every day. And I grab it.
Yes. I think that, yeah, that's the way to do it. Yes. And what mentoring advice? I know you've always been a mentor, but what mentoring advice would you have for people who might follow in your footsteps?
Always be honest. Don't try to take on too much. Make sure you've got the energy and the resources to do what you say you're going to do and get involved in associations and other things as soon as you can.
Right. And are there things that we didn't talk about and which you would like to mention?
No, I think I've covered it all, Naresh. I feel like you've got my story.
Thank you, Sam. What advice would you have for me?
Just keep being you. You are doing a fabulous job, and like I said, I'm so very proud of you. I don't think you need to worry about a thing. You just keep shining.
Thank you, Sam.
Recruit some international students if you can.
Thank you.
Get get a combo. At one point, I had Ethiopian, Turkish, Russian. I had two Russian students all at the same time, and they all intergerminated. You
Yeah,
know, their ideas were different from their experiences, and it was a great when they would write an article together or a presentation for a conference. Oh, it was fun. It was fun.
that's amazing.
So, try to get more experience with that because you'd be really good at it.
Thank you.
And I think the students would benefit greatly, and so would your program. Simmons is kind of known as the white school. Sorry,
Mm.
but maybe not now that you're there. I haven't kept up, but yeah, that's all. Just keep being you. Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm sure all the people listening to you will learn a lot of things, a lot of very important things. Yeah. Thank you.
I've had a good life.
And you'll have another, I would say, 25 years, if not more.
All right, we'll see when I'm hobbling around and cursing you for it.
And you'll be healthy. You'll be healthy both mentally and physically. You'll be fine. Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
my love.
Thank you, Sam.